Hello and welcome to SoCal Prep Report. My name is Randy Rosenblum. We have a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk about Palisades football. Dylen Smith, their first-year head coach, is going to join us in a few minutes. A little later in the program, King Drew football will be discussed with their fine coach, Joe Torress. But as I bring in my partner from SB Live, Tarek Fatal, we're less than an hour from Irvine and Beckman, which will carry on LA 36.
Thursday night high school football. You know, of course, it's a Friday night event, but we can't forget sometimes there's some nice games on Thursday night. Beckman and Irvine going at it.
There was a real nice game last week. Modern Day at St. John Bosco. I got it wrong. Most people got it wrong. St. John Bosco won the game handily, 28-0.
Yeah, we have some highlights from it. I think the best player on the field was Cameron Jones, and he's such an empowering force. 6'3", 235 pounds. There's a shot of him right there, number 20 in the black. He scored 2 touchdowns, this one in from short yardage. St. John Bosco, it was scoreless in the first quarter. Everyone was kind of watching these defensive heavyweights duke it out, but Caleb Sanchez throws this touchdown pass to Cam Jones. He's going to UCLA, so it was 14-0 there, as you know. Little double pass. Look at the trickery from the Braves. And, you know, I think people see 28-0, Randy, and they think, oh, the game was boring. But there was so much happening that was unbelievable, right? You couldn't believe with your own 2 eyes that Modern Day, the number 1 team in the country, was getting throttled like they were. And every time Bosco just layered on another touchdown, it was more fun to watch.
Everybody believes they'll meet again in the CIF Division I final later in the year. By the way, Cam Jones finished with 134 yards on the ground. Here's another great game in the Trinity League. Santa Margarita got a field goal at the end of the game. 1 second left to win it 36-31. I don't know. How did they win with a field goal? I don't know. But they got a field goal late to win it.
Yeah, I think the game was close. I know that. And look, in the Trinity League, those games are by a fine line, and there could be a playoff spot up for grabs there, right? You want to finish 3rd or 4th in that league. Chances are all those teams are going to go to the playoffs, but maybe that has Division I implications. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So a great matchup there in the Trinity League.
Yeah, Trent Mosley had 10 receptions. He caught 2 touchdowns. He ran for 2. Big game for Santa Margarita. Warren. This is about attendance at SoFi. 28-21, great rivalry game. A lot of people went to this game.
Yeah, I think the final record was 18,800 and some change. So you're talking almost 19,000 people. They had the whole lower bowl filled, Randy. So that's something to be proud of, and it's history. First ever high school football game at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, here's one that was a surprise to me, not to the coach that we're going to talk to in a little while, Joe Torress. His King Drew team knocked off Dimely, who was highly regarded in the city, 36-27.
No, that is a surprise. I mean, you know, there's no gambling or lines in high school sports, so you call it a shocker or a stunner. You don't call it an upset. But certainly a huge win for King Drew, I think. Dimely was trending towards that open division, but I think a loss like that probably knocks them down into Division I, which isn't a bad thing, but good for King Drew. They are on the uptick, and they might be a couple wins away from being in the Division I playoffs themselves.
Yeah, they kind of control their destiny if they can get some help from Dorsey tomorrow night. King Drew's got Fremont tomorrow, and they're going to be a heavy favorite there. Here was a great one in the Marine League, a 1-point game. Banning 27, Gardena 26. First loss for that Gardena team.
Yep, well put. I think Gardena did come into that game unbeaten, so everyone was thinking, okay, this Gardena team knocked off San Pedro. I think the score was 12-7 a couple weeks ago, and everyone's like, wait a minute, here comes Gardena. And just like Dimely fell, there goes Gardena. They fell too. So I think after Birmingham, Carson, and Garfield, in any which order you want to put them, there's great parity. Anyone can kind of beat anyone from 4 down to maybe 10 or 12, and that's what we're seeing here in the city.
And that's why you want the number 1 seed, so you don't have to play one of those other 2. Theoretically, let's say if it's Birmingham as the number 1 seed, they won't have to play Garfield or that fine Carson team until the finals. That means that Garfield would play Carson in the semis. If it goes down like that, Carson could be the number 1 team. Right now, they're number 1 in the poll, the Max Preps poll, not our poll. Speaking of polls, we have a guy at Palisades, Dylen Smith, the head coach. He's got his team in your poll, in the city poll. We'll get to that in a moment. Dylen's done a nice job. He's got his club at 6-2. He's got the big game tomorrow night at Venice.
Yeah, it's the big game for league. It has league implications, of course, league title implications. And so when you get two teams that are good, that helps. But when there's league title on the line, I think that adds a little luster to the game. So a big game on Friday night.
So let's bring Dylen Smith on right now. Good guy. We had a chance to talk to him before the show and loved his spirit, his enthusiasm for the game. Coach, welcome to the program. I know you got the big one tomorrow night. So how difficult a game is it at Venice for your team to win, for the Dolphins to get a W?
First, thanks for having me on the show. Tomorrow night's going to be a super game. It's their homecoming. It's, like you said, it's for league title. I've just been trying to prepare my team all week, saying we got to start off fast. They're going to be ready. They're going to be hyped. They beat us last year 60-14, so they're going to be, really feeding off that score from last year. So we have to match their energy from the opening kickoff going on to the fourth quarter.
When it comes to a rivalry, league game, league title on the line, there's emotion, right, Coach? Is there a message there throughout the week, or you have one prepared where you kind of want to play with emotion, but you don't want to let the emotion play with you? Do you ever talk to your players about something like that with a big game like this on Friday night?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, we have to match their energy. The kids have the score on their from last year on their back plates, so they're ready to go. And I just tell them we can't let the other team dictate what we do. We have to, like you said, control our emotions. Don't let the talking get to us. Play our game, and I think if we do that, we'll be able to win that game tomorrow night.
Dylen, you were a quarterback at Santa Monica, went on eventually to play at the University of Kansas. You have a nice quarterback there. He's a very good player in Roman La Scala. What is your relationship as a former quarterback tutoring a quarterback who pilots your team?
I just try to give him all the advice that I learned when I was playing and give it to him. He's a faster player than I was. So we do a lot of time in the film room, seeing what he sees, reading defenses, what matchups we can take advantage of. And he's a very coachable kid, very quiet, but he leads by example. And every tool that I've ever received, I always try to teach him, and he's very receptive to everything I've taught him.
Coach, an opportunity to kind of highlight some more players on your team. I always ask coaches, hey, you're on TV. Tell us who are some of the better players on the Dolphins, on the offense and defense.
Offensively, Braden Sanford, he's our leading receiver right now. He had 3 touchdowns last week against Westchester. He was battling an ankle injury, and he missed 2 games, but he's really worked his way back in. He struggled the week before, but last week he really stepped up and had 3 touchdowns, what we needed to win that game against Westchester. Terrell Watson, our number 1 running back, he's been our workhorse all season long. Just carrying the ball 20 times a game. Harrison Carter, they both rushed for 100 yards against Fairfax the week before. Our linemen just been really stepping up. Defensively, Matthew Spudamore, who's kind of our anchor on our defense. Jake, our other outside linebacker, who's doing a great job. Evan Nuremberg, who's our leading sack leader on the defensive end. So we just, we have a good balance on offense and defense, and those seniors have really been stepping up.
Well, right now you look like an open division team. You played Granada Hills, who's another team that looks to be an open division team, and you lost a tough game early. How do you feel about getting to the open and your chances in the open division? Tarek and I were talking earlier about the Garfields and the Carsons and obviously the Birminghams. How do you feel about your Dolphins' chances down the road? And I know you got your mind on Venice.
Yeah, I mean, I preach to our team all the time that if we play our game, I think we can compete with anybody in our league. We scrimmaged Birmingham, before our week 0 game, and that was kind of a sense of where we would be. And I told them, there's a chance we'll see Birmingham later on. So we've gotten obviously better since that scrimmage. I've seen Carson play because they played Hamilton, and we scouted. We played Hamilton obviously and scouted Carson, just watching film, and I feel like we can compete with Carson. We can compete with any of those top teams if we just play our style of football.
Well, Dylen, good luck tomorrow night. We really appreciate you coming on. That was a fast, good 5 minutes, learning a lot about your Palisades Dolphins team. Congratulations on the 6-0 start, 6-2 start. Keep it going, and best of luck against the Gondoliers.
Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Dylen Smith, I like the guy.
Yeah, big game tomorrow, and looking forward to seeing the score.
Should be a good one. Venice has got a chance at home, though. All right, let's take a look at the CIF Southern Section Football Top 10. We check it out every week. This is provided by our friends at SB Live. Really, it's Tarek Fatal's Top 10. What do you think?
Well, obviously, the big change is number one. You know, St. John Bosco now number one. Mater Dei goes down to number two. A lot of polls have Sierra Canyon at 3 or even 2. But I'm of the opinion that until you knock off if anyone in the neighborhood knocks off St. John Bosco, Mater Dei, or Centennial, they will earn that nod. And until that happens, they're going to be the top 3. Centennial's only 2 losses, I say it every week, are to Mater Dei and Bishop Gorman, number 1 and 2, top 5 programs in the country. Last thing, San Clemente earns a top 10 nod. Why? Because they knocked off Mission Viejo last week. I know we're going to talk about that in a second. Ruben Aiden is really the good player over there.
And an opportunity for Sarah Gardena to move up because they have that shot with Sierra Canyon, and we'll talk about that game later in the program as well. All right, let's take a look at really some great performances from last week. And by the way, we're about 18 minutes away now from Irvine and Beckman in Tustin. That's going to be a great battle. But let's take a peek at some of these great performances from a week ago. Esparza with a big game for Los Alamitos, over 300 yards and the 4 touchdowns. They beat Corona Del Mar. St. Francis's John Sanders. I know you love him, but to get 2 touchdowns throwing, 2 running, and he caught a TD against Amont.
Yeah, super good athlete, only a junior. I only say this because that's really what he looks like, and he was so talented at the high school and college level. He's got a Johnny Manziel type game.
Ishmael Gibbs for Chaminade. How about bringing back 2 interceptions for touchdowns against Notre Dame of
I've got a
Sherman
little
Oaks?
did you know. The last time Chaminade had a player to return 2 interceptions for a touchdown was Marquise Gallegos. He did it against Oaks Christian when he was a freshman. He returned 2 interceptions for a touchdown.
How do you know that? Where'd you come up with that pearl?
I was there.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were like...
No, I was there.
That's a pearl, man.
No, it was at Westlake Village, and Marquise Gallegos was only a freshman. He returned 2 interceptions for touchdowns for Chaminade. Now he's at Sierra Canyon. Go ahead.
You talked about Aiden Rubin. There's the big performance against Mission Viejo. That's hard to believe that he got that many yards, 239 against Viejo.
Yeah, no, it is, and Mission Viejo is known for the defensive team. It wasn't a high-scoring game. I believe the final score was 20-10, if I pick that off the top of my head. But San Clemente, the Tritons only have 1 loss, and so they deserve to be in the top 10.
Sincere Rainey, again, he's going to have that shot tomorrow night as they play a very good football team.
Yeah, Sierra Canyon. They're on the road in Chatsworth. That's likely to decide the Mission League champion. And at the very least, give an inside track. There is 1 more week left in the regular season, so you never know. Last thing I do want to say about that, Bishop, I wouldn't say poor Bishop Almont, but Bishop Almont has clearly fallen on hard times. I think they only have 2 or 3 wins this year.
Yeah, it's still an amazing achievement, 226 yards and 3 touchdowns against Amont. And Riley Brosseau of Eagle Rock.
Have a day.
Are you kidding me? I know Marshall's not a powerhouse. I think they're like 4-4. Barristers are competitive. But to throw for 515 yards and 6 touchdowns, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's impressive, and clearly he was feeling it. And when you can put the ball wherever you want, and that's generally hard to defend. And clearly Marshall had a hard time defending the pass the other night.
Well, let's see if Joe Torress can put the ball wherever he wants tomorrow night against Fremont. He probably will. He is the head coach at King Drew. He's got his team playing some pretty good football, coming off the big win over Dimely. Joe, welcome to the program. Congratulations on the win over Dimely. How'd you get it done? How'd you knock them off?
First off, thank y'all for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Well, how'd you beat Dimely?
Well, we game planned very well. I got a lot of footage against them, and we just sat down as a staff and really dissect them. We tried to keep the ball out of the explosive guys, 5 and 6 and 0, and just keep the ball out of their offensive hands, and that's how we did it. Defensively, we're coming around. We got some guys back, so I don't think we're the same team that most people have watched earlier this season. So we're looking to be dangerous.
Coach, when you knock off a team like Dylen that was, having a great year, and certainly everyone thought they were going to win, as you alluded to, is there an extra injection of belief in your team? You might have had that belief. You're doing a good job coaching. You got these guys dialed in, but it always is nice when you get that win so they can believe in themselves. Do you feel that new energy in this team for the rest of the way?
Oh man, I think the after winning against Washington, even though the game was kind of close, I think just when you take a team down like Dominantly that has the Rockets that they had on their team, they feel like they can beat anyone. I mean, earlier this year we had a close one against Gardena, and they're ranked high, and we were handling Gardena at home, and the wheels fell off in the fourth quarter, and they ended up beating us 14-12. Well, now we have a kicker that one of our top soccer players here at the school came out, and he's joined the team, and he's hitting 30-yard field goals, 40-yard field goals. So I'm looking forward to what happens to us in the next upcoming games and going into the playoffs.
I think people don't realize that you guys can still win the Coliseum League. Are you guys the forgotten child in the Coliseum League? Everyone talks Dorsey, Crenshaw after their great battle last week. Yep. And obviously, Dylen, no one's talking up King Drew because you started with 6 losses. But you're a different football team now, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, you know what? That's where we want to stay. We want to stay forgotten. We want to keep behind the scenes. And, if Dylen helps us out this week and takes care of Dorsey, and then we do our job in the Coliseum, we'll be sitting pretty good.
I do want to ask, because you brought it up, talk a little bit about now what seems to be a new improved kicking game because of this player, and by all means, please name him, that comes out from the SoCal. Was he a late add to the season? And talk about, even though it may seem very obvious, talk about the luxury of knowing, man, we can kick a field goal here and getting some points on the scoreboard, Coach.
Yeah. So his name is Jason Ramos. Acararo Ramos. He has 2 last names. But yeah, he's been getting warmed up. He's one of our star soccer players on our soccer team, and he came up to me after a loss against Gardena because we didn't have a kicker then, and we were up 12-0, and we kicked our extra points. It'd be 14-14, and who knows what happens in overtime with those guys. But he came to me and said, "Hey, Coach, looks like you guys need a kicker." And I said, "Do you kick?" And he says, "Absolutely. I'm the best kicker on the soccer team." I said, "Well, you got the job." He came
I love it.
And the funny thing is a lot of people don't know we don't have a field here at King Drew. So we walk about 3-4 blocks to a park to practice, and it's no field goal. So that game when we're playing in Diamond, we show up and he's kicking 30, 50-yard field goals like he's done it before, and he's never played football. And when all us coaches on the sideline looking at each other like, "Oh, we got something. There we go." And he, for him to kick 2 field goals in that game and went 3 for 4 in extra points was amazing.
Before I let you go, when I think of King Drew, I think of academics. I know that athletics is very important there, but to you, obviously, you're preaching academics to your football team as well, aren't you?
All day long. That's what we push off of. We have a lot of guys here with offers. A lot of kids after we play teams, Crenshaw, Dorsey, the kids are coming up to me and asking me, "Well, how are you getting these guys offers?" And I said, "Well, it's not me. I do have a connection with a lot of college coaches. So I have history with St. Francis Academy on the East Coast. I helped start that program over there. So I do have connections with a lot of college coaches. But the grades is what plays the part. If you have the academic, it's 1,000,001 schools out here that's looking to give people money for school. And my coaching staff, Coach Gardner, my assistant head coach, and research the colleges. He does a great job chopping our kids and getting them in front of colleges. And King Drew is where it's at when it comes to academics. Our team GPA right now is at 3.7. So and we're big. We have 82 guys in the program. I think that's one of the biggest programs right now in the city.
Definitely.
And out of all the guys that we have, they're scholars. It was funny. I just left the JV game, and I had 6 guys on JV have 4.8.
Well, that's great. That might be greater than the football achievements.
Absolutely.
To have 3.7 GPA. the cumulative grade point average of the team. I think you're going to have success tomorrow night against Fremont. That's my prediction. That's an easy one. You should dominate there. But best of luck going forward, no matter where you end up in the playoffs. Congratulations on the turnaround. Congratulations of what you're trying to achieve at King Drew. Keep up the good work.
Thank you all. Appreciate everything that you do for the community, and keep it going.
All right. Thank you, sir. That's Joe Torress. And again, they're the sleeper. Nobody's talking about them.
That's a story. Coach, I'm going to be calling you this week because I want to write about what seems to be kind of this renewed energy after a victory. But when was the last time you heard about a program getting a little bit of a kickstart from a kicker? Because that seems to add an extra element to their offensive game when maybe you're on the 19, 17-yard line. It's 4th and 2, 4th and 3. Hey, let's kick a field goal, get some points. So it sounds like he made 2 field goals. That's 6 points, and 3 or 4. So he had 9 points against Dylen, that kicker.
And the other point is he only lost by 2 points and missed kicks against Gardena.
There you go.
So had they beaten Gardena, we would be surprised.
Story. Yeah. Different story. So that's a good story, and I'm looking forward to following up on that.
All right, let's talk about some of these key games. And, of course, we're about 9 minutes away now from Irvine and Beckman in Tustin. I almost said they were going to be in Tucson, but it's in Tustin. And, of course, we're going to have our guys out there to call it Rich Estrella and Bob Gibson. But, all right, let's start with Sarah Gardena at Sierra Canyon. Sierra Canyon is still in that hunt, very much in the hunt for the D1 bid.
I find, there could be catastrophe, and they're going to get in. So I think Sierra Canyon is a lock for the Division I playoffs, the first time in program history. Huge accomplishment for John Ellinghaus and his program and the Trailblazers over there. They got the size up front, Randy. They've got the skill. They've got the quarterback. The big question for them is, do they have the depth? I know tomorrow night's the big game for the Mission League, but now that they're in the Division I playoffs, those are going to be the questions that Sierra Canyon's going to have to answer when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right about the quarterback. Wyatt Becker is very good, but they're going to have to slow down Sincere Rainey, who's a tremendous running back. Corona Centennial, I think, is a pretty big favorite here, but it is a dangerous game as they play Murrieta Valley. So
Murrieta Valley has a quarterback named Bear Bachmeyer, and they have a running back named Dorian Hose, and they're very, very good players. The reason why this game lost a little luster is because Murrieta Valley lost to Chaparral last week, or it would have kind of been a winner-takes-all type league game. If Murrieta Valley can knock off Corona Centennial, that would be quite the stunner, and it'll also put them back in track for a Big West league title.
Speaking of the biggest game of the week, we saw it in the city when we had our coach on, Dylen Smith, talking about his Palisades team playing Venice. In the southern section, you can argue that Rancho Cucamonga, Damien, is even bigger than Sierra Gardena against Sierra Canyon.
I think it is the bigger game, and that's where I'll be tomorrow night. I'm going out to Laverne for Damien Rancho Cucamonga. It is the baseline league title game per se. Obviously, with 1 week left, it's not the winner-takes-all game, but, the winner will get an inside track and is likely to take care of business in the final weeks. The Baseline League's been very good and very competitive with Etiwanda, Chino Hills, and Upland, along with Rancho Cucamonga and Damien. It'll be a great game. I think Rancho's going to win, but Damien at home, you never know.
Let's jump into the city section. Dimley's got a chance to bounce back. Not going to be easy. They're playing a decent Dorsey team who has improved. Doesn't have a great record, but the Dons are getting better, although they lost a heartbreaker to their arch rival Crenshaw Cougars.
So Dimley is the team that, previously beat Crenshaw, then had, and then obviously ran into a surging King Drew team. Dorsey is better than their record shows. Coach Stephon Johnson, former USC standout, does a pretty good job. Right. So we'll see. You might be right, Randy. Maybe Dorsey gets the best of Dimley. However, sometimes what happens is Dimley might have gotten woken up by that King Drew game. Maybe they beat Crenshaw and thought too highly of themselves and faltered. I don't think it's going to happen again.
We got Carson and Gardena. That's going to be a good football game.
Jerry Misa Alafua.
You got it.
See, I nailed that name. Carson, I think, is the team to beat in the city. I really, really do. Birmingham is the exception. After Birmingham, it's Carson. I really do think that's going to be the city final, is Carson-Birmingham.
And we're going to bounce back and take a look at those city top to bottom, the rankings from 1 to 10, SB Live's city section top 10. You have Birmingham still number 1.
Absolutely, yeah. And similar to what I talked about with the southern section, even though I'm saying, hey, Carson might be the team to beat, Birmingham is the number 1 team. It sounds like a double-edged sword there, but the truth of the matter is, until someone in the city beats Birmingham, they deserve the number 1 spot. They are the three-time defending Open Division champions. I'm looking at the bottom, really not much ado about nothing other than maybe Banning moving up. Diamond drops down a little bit, and Franklin on at 10.
And we have Granada Hills on our air tomorrow night at 7 o'clock with El Camino football. The Royals playing at Granada Hills. I'll be on the call with Dave Marcus. That should be an interesting game. But Granada Hills and Stanley and company are favored.
Can El Camino Real deliver you a great? What would that be? A third great game in a week, in a straight week, or
Yes.
just in a straight broadcast? I don't know.
Well, it's 2 straight broadcasts.
Okay.
It was back-to-back weeks with Chatsworth with a defensive stop to win the game, and then
Chatsworth,
a touchdown,
Taft.
and then Taft with the touchdown on
But that
offense.
wasn't last week, so there's been like a week in
There's
between.
been a week in between.
Got it. Okay.
But I'll take another great game if they want to give us one.
Absolutely.
Okay, where am I now? You lost me. How about let's talk about the fact that the D1 championship game will be played at the Coliseum on November 24th.
Yeah, that's always good. Anytime you can give. Last year was at the Rose Bowl, great
Right.
venue. USC Coliseum, great venue. So I'm not exactly saying that one's better than the other. What matters is that a great venue was gotten for that event, and that's great for the kids.
Aiden Breland, who's a tremendous defensive lineman of modern day, may not have looked like one last week when the team struggled, but he is committed now to Oregon.
Yeah, he's going to be a Duck. Picked a couple other big programs to be an Oregon Duck. Good for him. That's it.
Another commit, and we predicted this. We're
Yeah.
jumping to basketball now. Trent Perry at Harvard Westlake helped win a state championship last year. On to USC.
Yeah, the good thing about that decision is I always kind of felt like that was a great fit for him and Andy Enfield. However, I think there's a possibility he gets a lot of playing time next year. Boogie Ellis is going to graduate. We don't know what's going on with Bronny James, and their other guard, Isaiah Collier, is very likely to be a lottery pick in the NBA. So you're talking 2 guys for sure gone. 1 guy's a question mark. That's 3 guards potentially. So here comes Trent Perry next year. He'll have a chance to really play.
Now, you're right. Ellis is going to be graduated. Collier, you're right. It's one and done. We got the big game coming up, Beckman and Irvine. Irvine's got the better record, but, Beckman, it's a tough football game. I mean, these teams, it's a rivalry. It's a neighborhood rivalry.
Yeah, Irvine, the Vaqueros, they are a really, really good team, and they have a running back, Brandon Figueroa, who's rushed for 895 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 games with over 100 or more. So that's a running game there. Beckman, they like to air it out. Austin Shepard, 21 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions, and his go-to wideout is Sean O'Rourke, 29 receptions for 528 yards and 8 tutties.
Okay, we can make a pick on this game.
Oh,
Because we're not calling it.
okay.
So I won't make a
okay.
pick on El Camino tomorrow against Granada Hills, even though I believe the Highlanders are going to win. You didn't hear that. Who do you like in the game coming up?
Yeah, I'm going to go Beckman.
Come on, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're 7-1. They like to air it out.
Yeah.
This is technically a home game for them, even though it's at Tustin
Tustin,
High.
yeah, it is.
So, give me Beckman at home. They're clearly having a better year. I don't know too much about the teams, but I will say this. I think the most difficult thing to do in high school football is defend the pass. And Beckman's got a good passing game.
Right.
So that's my logic.
So you think it's going to go over the total? Just kidding.
Okay, here we go. Now we're talking over-unders for high school games.
No. There's going to be a lot of scoring in the game. I'm
Sure.
excited because we're going to be back next week. We got a lot of shows coming up in the near future. We mentioned the football game tomorrow night with El Camino. And then obviously next week, Rich and Bob, who are about to call this game, are going to have their sports show on Wednesday night. Here's the promo for that. You can see Prep Sports Night live. It's a terrific show. They do a full hour. They bring a team in, and they talk to the whole team at Rock and Brews. It's a blast. They have chicken eating contests, cheerleaders. They got it all. And then we'll be back next Thursday night here for SoCal Prep Report. I'm excited. This is going to be the first time we're going to introduce a game live on LA 36.
Yeah.
Like we're a pregame show.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Moving up in the world, having a little fun. Yeah, give me Beckman. Give me the Patriots.
I like Beckman too, and I think they'll probably win the game. How about 42-28? How's that sound?
Sure.
It's a good score.
Yeah.
I'm excited because I got to hear Rich and Bob on the call. I've worked with Rich and Bob for many, many years. Bob did a lot of color analytical work for me at another company, and Bob's a good guy, and he's out there working with Rich tonight. And Rich and I have worked together many times in LA 36, and I think he'll do a terrific job on the call. And that's always going to be a lot of fun. And in 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, you now meet Rich and Bob. Enjoy the game, everybody.